my name is Joel Baker, and it's on Wednesday of Holy Week that the religious leaders started scheming of ways to trap and kill Jesus, and it's also when Judas Iscariot approached the chief priests to ask them what they would give him if he betrayed Jesus over to them. So we're going to look at Mark chapter 14, verses 1 through 11. It was 2 days before the Passover and the festival of unleavened bread. The chief priests and the scribes were looking for a cunning way to arrest Jesus and kill him. Not during the festival, they said, so that there won't be a riot among the people. While he was in Bethany, at the house of Simon the leper, as he was reclining at the table, a woman came with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume of pure nard. She broke the jar and poured it on his head. But some were expressing indignation to one another. Why has this perfume been wasted? For this perfume might have been sold for more than 300 denarii and given to the poor. And they began to scold her. Jesus replied, "Leave her alone. Why are you bothering her? She has done a noble thing for me. You always have the poor with you, and you can do what is good for them whenever you want. But you do not always have me. She has done what she could. She has anointed my body in advance for burial. Truly, I tell you, wherever the gospel is proclaimed in the whole world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her." Then Judas Iscariot, one of the 12, went to the chief priests to betray Jesus to them. And when they heard this, they were glad and promised to give him money. So he started looking for a good opportunity to betray him. When we look back at this section of the Easter story, it's really easy for us to be judgmental and condemning of both the chief priests and Judas. But the truth is, when have we acted the exact same way? The chief priests and the religious leaders were part of a system that, at its heart, at its core, was set up to keep the Israelites in right relationship with God. They were following the commands given by Moses and even added to those commands in an attempt to keep people from breaking the law and in order to follow Jesus or follow God. But in the process, they also set up a system that led to their power and their prestige and their position among the Israelites. And now Jesus comes along threatening their very existence, telling them that they don't have it right, that they're not living the way they're supposed to. And how have we done the same? When we feel convicted to make a decision that might change how we go about our life, or that might challenge the convictions of the traditions that we've practiced even in our faith, how have we tried to maybe kill the conviction within us or deny what God's asking us to do? Or if we look at Judas, where we've just gone through this scene of the woman with the perfume, and Judas, who was the treasurer among the disciples, is probably feeling quite reprimanded about how he's wanting to approach money and how it's handled here. And maybe he's also going, "Jesus, you're not acting the way I expected you to as the coming Messiah." And I've heard it conjectured that he may have decided, if I go to the chief priests and turn Jesus over, he's going to have to be the conquering hero I expect him to be. And so maybe he's looking for a way to force Jesus into Judas's box of what he expected Jesus to be. How have we done the same thing? How do we try to fit Jesus into our box of our conception of who Jesus is and how we're supposed to live and what God has called us to? We are equally responsible for putting Jesus on the cross as the religious leaders and Judas. The good news is, though, that just days later, Jesus washed the disciples' feet. And he didn't just wash the disciples who would go on to spread Christianity throughout the world. He also washed Judas's feet and served him, the man who would betray him just hours later to his death. And on the cross, Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they do." Jesus' forgiveness and his death on the cross was for everyone, including the religious leaders, including for Judas, including for us when we were enemies still. His forgiveness is for everyone. But today, let us reflect on the ways that we are equally responsible and our sin also put Jesus on the cross. May we